What we have right here is a hive that deceased last year. And as these hives decease, I bring them into this area where I have the solar boxes to clean them up. So the process is we break the hive open and you can see the old dirty dark frames here. And this is a relatively clean one in comparison to a lot of them. But we take the frames from here, we introduce them into the solar boxes here every day and close the lid. It's a lot like leaving a car door closed with your dog or your child in it in the Walmart parking lot. It gets hotter than blazes in here. I mean, it turns the wax into liquid, and it literally is in liquid form in there. Whew. Boy, that is hot. Can't hardly hold on to it. What it does, it melts all this old wax and kind of sterilizes these frames from mites and wax moths and etc. But as it sterilizes the frames, it also, we have to clean them up for reuse, which takes about an hour a day for me to stand back here and do that. It's not one of my favorite jobs. But what it does, it really melts the good beeswax away from the old honeycomb. That is no good. But the beeswax is very valuable, and I recycle it, send it back down to the big bee companies. They press it back into foundation sheets and send it back up to me at a reduced cost, so it saves me money while I'm cleaning up my equipment. And it's really just as simple as that. It's just, if you're a beekeeper, sooner or later you're either going to have to buy brand new frames, or you're going to have to get in a program of cleaning your frames up for reuse. So that's what I do about an hour a day here behind the shed with these solar boxes. I probably clean up several thousand of these frames a year. I'll clean this one up. I'll show you what one looks like, what they look like before we clean them up, and what they look like after. Okay. Yeah, this is the old honeycomb. It's been used for several years, and so that's what it looks like going in. And so basically, that's what we do every day. We introduce the old dirty frames into the solar boxes. We spend about an hour back here every day cleaning them up, and then we reload it and go about our chores doing something else, and come back tomorrow and start the process over again. And this is my cleanup method right here. All right, what we're doing right here, Mr. Terry, is we're in the beginning stages of getting ready for honey flow, or putting bees in your hives initially in the springtime. So in the wintertime, when I've got a little bit of time, I like to come down and take these foundation sheets, which is nothing more than a guide for the bee to follow. Otherwise, he would make one unholy, tangled up mess in here that you could not use. So we're going to outsmart him, and he's going to follow these wax foundation sheets, and he's going to put that honey right in these frames. So we got to line this thing up a little bit. Everybody can't do it as fast as I can. So So now there you have the frame with the guide inside the frame. And there's 10 of these frames inside a super. So what you got to do is fill a super and then come back and get another one and another one and another one. So that's the process right here, is putting the wax into the frames as guides. Then as the bees build up and a honey flow comes on, and they actually fill these frames with honey, that's when you put your suits on and you go and actually extract this whole unit away from the hives. You have to smoke them, sedate them, take them away. I bring that back here, run it through the extractor, get the honey out, put it in a jar, and give it to some friends, or sell it sometimes if I get lucky. I'm pretty lucky. But that's the process right here that I wanted to show you, is putting the wax into the frames so the bees will have a guide to follow, and we're preparing ourselves, hopefully, to get some honey off some of these blackberry fields or some of these wildflowers, and a little later some of that good sourwood honey that I like to specialize in. So that's really about the process right here. Now, you saw the cleanup process, and you saw the process here about putting the wax in the frames, preparing to get the honey. So that's pretty well this process. Some of these growers, apple growers, call me. I simply just wait till night comes and go over and tape the gates on these bees while they're inside, back up to the trailer, hook to it, carry it over to his orchard, reverse the process, unhook from the trailer, take the tape away, and the bees go right to work in his orchards there for about a week or two while they're in bloom, and they pollinate his orchard. As they finish blooming, he called me a day or two ahead and says, "Ray, we need to get these bees out. I need to spray Monday morning." So I have to go over and hook back to it. And sometimes I get lucky and take it straight out of a apple orchard where I pollinated and move it straight into another man's blackberry field. So I'm not having to bring them home and then bring them back down there. So basically I pollinate apple orchards and blackberry fields. I've, 2 or 3 growers in the apples and 2 or 3 growers in the blackberries. And I pretty well just leave these bees sitting on the blackberries as long as I can, because they make pretty nice honey off the blackberries. So yes, I do pollinate, and that's my little process on that right there. But from really April to mid-May, which is right about now, bees go through a process of reproduction where the queen bee initially is laying literally thousands of eggs a day inside that hive. I think it takes 21 days for these eggs to mature into a young honeybee. So in 21 days they hatch out. It's amazing how fast a hive of honeybees will build up. From a weak hive that's just went through the winter to an absolutely booming, strong hive of honeybees. Well, one day a queen hatches out in there. Another queen, a young queen. And that's a real rebellion inside that hive. As you know, 2 women can't live in the same house. They fight. I mean, they will literally fight to the death. They kill each other if they can. But most of the time, the old existing queen will chase that young virgin queen around in that hive to the point that she just leaves. She exits the hive. And as she exits that hive, it's really something to watch. Literally thousands upon thousands of bees crawl out the gates on that hive and just tumble out and get up in the air and begin to circle and gather. And the queen will eventually land on anything, really, wherever she lands. And immediately upon her landing, that whole hive of bees that have followed her out will land on her, making a swarm of honeybees that could be anywhere from the size of a gallon bucket to a 5-gallon bucket. They can be huge, 5, 6 pounds, 8, 10 pounds of honeybees. And that is the process that they do every spring. An existing hive will split and swarm. At this time, I religiously watch my bees every day around lunch, and I have empty hives in my truck. And as I find these big clusters of bees on limbs, I place my hive right under the swarm and literally just shake that hive, and they drop right down on top here. They smell that beeswax and just rush right down into that new hive. You have to be give them a little bit of time and make sure the queen's in there. But once that queen is inside that hive, the rest of them will go right inside those gates. And they'll start building wax immediately. And as soon as they start building wax inside that hive, it's real hard to get them to leave there. I have had a few hives that will voluntarily exit and fly away. I mean, that happens from time to time, but most of the time it's about a 90%. Once you put them inside this hive, they're going to stay there. So that's a real interesting time. I love to do it. It's about like going fishing or shooting a big deer to me, catching those bee swarms. I love to do it. And they've really worked me real hard this spring. I bet I've caught 40 or 50 swarms. So that's a lot of bees. What we're doing is letting those bees just find that box and make sure that queen gets in there. And I'm gonna bring them down, put them down there. And then they should come down to it. There you go, Terry. That's about all I can show you.
You don't have your glove on. You're gonna bring it over here so it can sting Terry for his arthritis.
Yeah. Now when you get real good with this, here, you want to hold him?
Get a picture of him, show him in the light.
Here, sister, hold this bee.
Is that a drone?
That's a drone.
So they don't sting?
No, he won't sting. He's a little bigger, bulkier, got a bigger head with a little fuzzier body. Now, were that a regular bee, he would have already lit you up, I promise you.
You want me to let him go?
People will think that's bird nest up there, but I put that up there to deter those bees from going on that limb where that queen has scented. They'll come right down here now. Well, I hoped you'd find one. I hoped it'd be a little more easy to get to. A lot of times you have to go to them, but a lot of times here in these trees, they'll settle, you know, right here under a limb like this. And they're real easy to get to like that. As you see, it's not that complicated. If you just kind of know what you're doing and get that box under them and shake them right into that box. Most of the time, that's about the end of it. Yeah. Yeah, all those bees up there will work their way right down there. They'll hunt that queen. She's got a little scent to her, and they won't go in another hive, and they won't let any other bees come in their hive. They're very smart. That's why if you look at those trailers where they're just sitting right there beside each other, they will not intermingle. They go to their hive and that's it. You go in that other hive over there and they'll kill you. So don't go in there.
People ought to take a lesson from them.
Well, maybe they ought to. Well, all right now. I've got mowing to do. I'll come back and check on that, but I believe they're in there. So.